Okay, so guys, here's just my honest feedback on this recipe. Oh shoot, it's a mess. Is that it calls for way too much cream cheese, okay? I mean, it was obvious to me just looking at it. However, again, I just wanted to try it true to recipe. It is good, but it's just like, it's too rich, okay? And then all that cream cheese is costing up money too. So these are huge. I don't know if you can really tell, but these are like huge double portions that I'm going to pack these up in the freezer. And what that's going to let me do is just heat one up for dinner, and then I'll be able to eat until I'm stuffed, and then put the rest of it back in the fridge for lunch, okay? Because sometimes I'm skipping meals, etc., and I'm burning like tons of calories working outside some days, and I need to just be able to eat until I'm full. Otherwise, I'll end up like waking up or like not being able to sleep or having to cook something else. So I have some left in here. I had 2 big servings that I brought over to my neighbor, and then this is what I have left. So of this, only because it's so rich, and because some of a little bit of the sauce is in there, but I'm only gonna put, I put about a spoonful and a half of this on each one of these. Okay. I think one of them got like 2 spoonfuls, and I'm like, oh, that's too much. So the leftover of this, I'm going to be able to save, and I'm just going to serve it over some rice one of these days. So I'll probably put the leftovers of this in the fridge to have over rice one of these days, and then I'm going to freeze these, and I'm just going to eat this. I'm going to heat it back up and eat this tonight. So I would say of this recipe, you could easily get by with just an 8 ounce, because each of those blocks was 8 ounces. So you could easily get by with an 8-ounce block of cream cheese or less, or even less, okay? And what you can do is you can take just some milk and take the cold milk and put it in a little bowl or cup and mix it with a little bit of cornstarch or flour to add more body to the sauce that isn't quite as rich, okay? That will also thicken up. And that's what I'm gonna do next time. I'm probably only gonna use, I don't know, probably even less than 8 ounces per serving next time. Okay, so, if you were having multiple sides and having just very small portions of this and having like a salad and some other like cooked vegetable, maybe the richness would be okay. But to sit down and eat a ton of this is not easy. Okay. So it is good, but too much cream cheese. And again, so of this, pardon my little ghetto situation here, but because I made a big double serving thing, I had $10 in pasta. Now you could easily get that down. You could easily cut your pasta cost in half for even a double portion like this, okay? The meat was $5.29 a pound, and so for 2.5 pounds, it was $13. Now a full double recipe would have called for 3 pounds of meat. However, I just used a 2.5. So the cream of mushroom, I messed that up. Hold on. It's actually $2.80, okay? So I put in a $2.99 large can of cream of mushroom, and then I had some leftovers to put into my ramen. Why did I think it was $2.40? But for here, now sometimes you can get those little cream of mushrooms on sale, but they were $1.39 a piece, okay? So, my total is a little bit wrong here. So it's $35.90. Okay, and the cream cheese is at $8.50. I lost my receipt. I have actually no clue how much I paid for the cream cheese, you guys. But that was, let's say it was $2.50 a block for the cream cheese. It would have been about $8.50 in cream cheese. Okay. And then I had incidentals, a little bit of beef broth paste. Okay. I had 1 onion. It was a small onion too. And that was for a double recipe. And then some garlic and some salt and pepper. Okay. So the total that this should have been making is about 16 servings for, I guess it would have been just under $36. Okay. And again, these here are huge portions. Sorry, I got like boo-boos and stuff, but these are huge portions that I'm packing up in the freezer. Okay. I also don't have tons of space in the freezer to be stacking tons of Tupperwares, is why I'm also just heavy packing these. And if I decide not to just microwave them, I can just take one out, and if I don't want to microwave the whole thing, I can take it out the day ahead and stick it in the fridge, okay? And then I'm going to get some more out of this. Now, if you want to cut down the cost of something like this, like a great deal more, okay, so besides cutting the cream cheese significantly, you could easily cut the cream cheese cost in half on this and just add a little bit of milk instead, okay? The cream of mushroom, I wouldn't really cut back on that situation. You could get your pasta for probably 1/3 of the price, okay, as what's on here. And then as far as the meat goes, what this recipe would actually be great with is some meatballs. Even the way my mom used to make them, which cuts, you can cut the ground beef about 3 parts ground beef to 2 parts crushed oats. Okay, so you're substituting some of that beef for crushed oats and then just making some super freaking tasty meatballs in there. And it's like, your family, even though you're cutting back on the meat cost, because sometimes when it gets tight, it's like they're not really necessarily going to miss it because the meatballs are great. I'll show you guys how to make those sometime. Now, when I make the meatballs cut with the crushed oats, and I just hand crush the oats ahead of time in a bowl, okay? And then I just saute some onions and garlic, and I'll just take some, I tend to just buy frozen spinach because I don't like having it go bad in the fridge. So I'll do the onion, the garlic, and frozen spinach, and I'll saute it all, okay? And then I'll let that cool down a little bit while I mix the ground beef with the crushed oats, okay? And then after that gets mixed up really good, I'll mix in a couple eggs, depending on how many I'm making, what volume I'm making. Okay, I put in a couple eggs as a binder. That's also adding in protein. Okay, and then you can salt it and spice it how you want. Okay, or you can do some of I wouldn't over salt or over spice it because you can add that later while the meatballs are cooking or afterwards. Okay, so I don't really have a recipe for the meatballs, but then I add in the sauteed vegetables into the meatball mix, and then I cook those on the stovetop. Actually, in the pan. Some people, want to bake their meatballs, but I cook them, and that's how I grew up doing it. With my mom showed me how to make them, and you just turn them over with the chopsticks, okay? Because my mom was Korean, until they're cooked all the way through, and they would be nice and browned with like a crust on them. Which when you then put the meatballs and cook them in sauce for a while, having that actual crust on the meatballs from having cooked them, okay, on the stovetop is really nice. But anyways, I could see this recipe being really good with some meatballs, and that would help cut down the cost by cutting those meatballs with some crushed oats. So anyways, y'all, this is probably not something that I'm going to be eating every day, but I'm going to be happy to have a few of these in the fridge when I just want something really dense and filled with calories. Okay, so I got some cleaning up to do. I got some grapes to be processing, but again, the way that I have these packed quite a large volume in quite large Tupperwares, it makes this look really uneconomical. Okay, and I would say that the quantity of cream cheese is uneconomical, but overall I'm pretty happy with this. Take it easy, you guys.